What's going on, guys? Failed to listen. Welcome back to more Failed Thoughts, and in this video, we're going to discuss Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo fans, and I think more or less this might be a very respectful response to Review Tech USA and those that just feel in general that the power of the Switch was actually going to make a really big difference when it comes to third parties and third-party developers, publishers, however you want to look at it, putting their games on the Nintendo Switch. So I don't know if I can just narrow it down and say that there's one thing and only one thing, but I think in general it's a combination of very simple things, and starting with doing a little bit of research at the software sales from their last three consoles, the GameCube, the Wii, and the Wii U. These consoles are dominated by games that either Nintendo published, they paid for those chits, right? Or they published as well as developed. Nintendo games, right? The reason that the Nintendo diehards and your occasional casual are buying these consoles for. That's what people want to play. I don't disagree with Rich when he said that probably the vast majority of those that bought the Wii after they had their fill of stuff like Wii Sports, they didn't really play much of anything else and went back to doing other activities they used to do before they started playing video games, because let's face it, a lot of Wii owners didn't play video games before, or they went back to their PC or their PlayStation 2 or their PlayStation 3 or their Xbox 360. And that's going to bring me in to my next point after I finish up with the software sales from some of these consoles. I'm not saying there's no third-party games in the top 10, top 20, top 30, but there's very few. When you look at the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, and the Xbox 360, or even now, especially now with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, these are very dominated by third-party multi-platform games that were super popular. We know what these are: your Grand Theft Autos, your Battlefields, your Call of Duty type games. Games like that are dominated by these consoles. So when you look at it, and like I said, it's really simple to understand. When you look at it, Nintendo gamers, even though some of them may be asking for some of these games, it doesn't seem like they're all that interested when push comes to shove and it's time to put your money where your mouth is. I'm not saying that every Nintendo gamer is online on YouTube or on social media, talking a big game up about these third-party games that they like, but it does seem like there's a good chunk of them that are, and they don't end up buying these games. Some of these guys, they've done their part. The third-party games that they did get, a lot of these guys would go out and support them, even if they weren't terribly interested in the games they were buying, hoping to get more from that developer or that publisher because they do enjoy other games from those companies. But it just wasn't enough. And those companies like me, whether they're using VG charts or looking at their own numbers, can say, they didn't really buy this game. They didn't really buy this game. Well, we're not going to put anything on the Wii. Well, they didn't really buy this on the Wii, so we're not going to put this on the Wii U. Well, this was a complete disaster on the Wii U. I'm not putting this on the Nintendo Switch. I think it has a lot less to do with power. It doesn't matter. And those PC gamers, as well as those that own a PS4 or an Xbox One or both or all three, like say you even own like a Wii U, a PS4, an Xbox One, and a capable PC, I don't even know why we're having this discussion. Like, why do we even care about the power of this thing? Sure, would it be nice to see what a talented developer like Nintendo could do with, something like the power or the equivalent of a 6600K with like a GTX 1080 or something? Sure, I'm not gonna lie, that would be pretty awesome. But there's no guarantee, one, that developers, even including Nintendo, that are going to take advantage of all of that power every time they make a game. And again, even with that power, those third parties can look at the numbers and say, these guys aren't really buying our games. They say they want them, but they're not buying the games. But when you look at those top numbers, when you look at the top selling games, again, they're dominated by Nintendo games, whether they're publishing and developing or just publishing Bayonetta 2. That was a pretty hyped game. Now, 1 million is not a bad number. I think it sold just over 1 million or something like that. Even if it sold 2 million, that's not a bad number. But those are not really special numbers in 2016 or even heading into 2017. I just gotta be honest. When you look at Resident Evil 4, it's considered one of the greatest games ever created. And correct me if I'm wrong, that game was exclusive to the GameCube for a good while, and I think it's just over 1.5 million sales. One of the greatest games, the most praised, the most hyped games ever, just over 1.5 million on the GameCube. And, Capcom's probably looking at stuff like that and remembering other games. It doesn't look good even if the power was there. I gotta be honest. Looking at those numbers on VG charts, I know I can't even talk. VG charts is not the end all be all. I understand that. I know that they're not the end all be all, but it's all we have. And it's a good idea. It's a good indication of what some of these numbers actually are. And it says to me, no disrespect, I guess it's somewhat disrespectful, Nintendo fans just don't really care about a lot of these games unless they're made by Nintendo. I mean, they really only have themselves to blame in the end. Now, I will say that some developers that did put stuff on the Wii or the Wii U, a lot of it was kind of half-assed, and they were garbage ports. And those guys supported it anyway. Some of them supported it anyway. It's totally understandable why you would be pissed off about games like that. But even with that said, if they were amazing ports, some of you guys bought them where the vast majority of the owners of those platforms did not. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I did look at the sales for Resident Evil 4 on, say, the PS2, and while the number was bigger, I think it was like a little closer to 4 million for a console that sold, around that time, maybe 120 million consoles or something for one of the greatest games of all time. That's pretty crazy that they only sold, not even 4 million. I think it was like 3.6 or something like that. Just, I can't remember for sure. But you had stuff like Just Dance and games like that. There were a few third-party games that had good sales, like really good sales on some of these Nintendo consoles, but for the most part, guys, like, they're just Nintendo fans. I don't think the majority of them are interested in those games. So while many people, and especially Nintendo fans, would like a lot of power to be there, I don't think it would matter in the end. And before I close out the video, just one more thing that I don't get. And I don't know if I've already said this or insinuated this at some point, but you mean to tell me that those of us that have a capable PC as well as a console, or even just a couple of consoles like PS4 and Xbox One, mean to tell me that we would go buy the Switch? Let's just, hypothetically speaking, for argument's sake, for video's sake, say that the Switch was at least as powerful as the PlayStation 4 Pro. We would go and buy the Switch and then convince all of our friends and family to go and buy the Switch and start buying our multiplayer co-op experiences and convince them to do the same on the Switch just because it's as powerful, or maybe even possibly more powerful than the PlayStation 4. You're kidding yourself. You're lying. I'm not doing that. If I were to buy a Switch, I'm not coming back on TeamSpeak and telling, I got like a pretty good group of, 8 or 9 guys or something when we're all in there together. I'm not going to try and convince all of them like, oh my God, the Switch is amazing. If this multi-platform game comes with a Switch, you guys should go out and pay $250, $300. That's crazy. On top of the game? Come on. You guys are kidding yourselves. And I feel like if there's Nintendo diehards that really wanted to play some of these already existing games anyway, or some of the upcoming more popular multi-platform titles, they would already own a capable PC or an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4. They're buying that Nintendo console for those Nintendo games. They know it. You guys know it. I know Rich knows it. Again, this isn't like a disrespect or anything to Rich. He and I get along fine, but I do disagree with some things, and that's my take. That's my video. Like, there really isn't anything else to say. Nintendo fans just want to play Nintendo games, and I don't think any amount of asking and, you know, trying to talk to developers on social media, so on and so forth, I don't think that that's going to help them in the end. I really don't. I think another thing that might help, possibly, is if the Switch really took off and started doing like Wii numbers, right? Or like PlayStation 4 numbers very, very early on, and just start knocking it out of the park in terms of hardware sales. Like some third parties might look at that and say, there's a lot of people on this console. Do we really want to try and not put this game on this platform? You know what I mean? Like, then you might have like some rare cases, I think, but then you just open up for like a whole new set of problems, because then you're going to have PlayStation guys and Xbox guys saying, wait, now you're going to put this game on the Switch? That's going to hold us back. This game could have been amazing. It could have looked amazing. You know, any number of things. Who the hell knows? But that's my opinion. That's my take. I will leave some of this stuff in the description so you guys can see what I was looking at, just so you know that these guys clearly, for the most part, the vast majority just want to enjoy Nintendo experiences. And that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching. All the continued support. Take it easy. Peace.